Hello crafters, I'm Jan B and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. It's the first in a series of 5 that I'm hoping to do of fancy folds, and this one is called an Easel card. It folds flat for posting. You open it and this piece here is raised, so that rests like that, keeps it open, and from the side it's like that, which is why it's called an Easel card. The finished size of this is a 5.5 by 5.5 inches, which does mean that you will need your envelope punch board to make an envelope for yourself. I'm going to change the colour scheme. I'm going to be using Melon, Mambo, Rich Razzleberry and Powder Pink. So I'll start off by telling you the card pieces you're going to need. Right, let's treat this very carefully. Right, so the card base you need is 11 inches by 5.5 inches. It's not scored at all yet. That's 27.8 by 13.9 centimetres. A piece of Whisper White, which measures 5 3/8 by 5 3/8, which is 13.6 by 13.6 centimetres. A piece of Designer Series paper, and this is our In Love, Painted with Love Designer Series paper, and this measures 5 1/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, which is 13.3 by 13.3. And then a piece of Whisper White, which measures 2 5/8 by 5 3/8, which is 7 by 13.6 centimetres. A piece of Designer Series paper, which measures 2.5 by 5 1/4, which is 6.7 by 13.3. And then you need a piece of Whisper White, which measures 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, which is 8.9 by 8.9. A piece of Melon Mambo, which measures 3 3/8 inches by 3 3/8 inches, which is 8.6 by 8.6 centimetres. This is the reverse side of the Designer Series paper that I'm going to be using for this bit, and this measures 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches, which is 8.3 by 8.3. You will also be needing a strip of Whisper White. Now this is what I've called the stopper. Right, okay, so that's 5.5 inches by 1.5 inches, which is 3.8 by 13.9 centimetres. A piece of Melon Mambo, which measures 1 3/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches, which is 3.5 by 13.6. And a piece of Designer Series paper, again the heart design, which measures 1 1/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, which is 3.2 by 13.3. For the sentiment there, you need a piece of Melon Mambo that measures 2 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches, which is 6.1 by 8.3 centimetres. A piece of Whisper White rather, which measures 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, which is 6.7 by 8.9 centimetres. And for this bit along here, you need some Melon Mambo, which measures 7/8 of an inch by 4 5/8 of an inch, which is 2.2 by 11.7 centimetres. And then for the 2 sentiments here, you need one piece that is 3/4 of an inch by 2 1/8 inches, which is 1.9 by 5.4 centimetres. And one piece that's 3/4 of an inch by 1.5 inches, which is 1.9 by 3.8. You want a piece of our window sheets. It's acetate, lovely and thick on this one. And this should measure, and I don't think I did actually measure this, did I? Yes, I did. 1/2 inch by 2.5 inches, but I didn't work out what the centimetres on that one was. And you also need a scrap of Whisper White for the actual balloons. Now, the amount you need is obviously going to depend on how many balloons you want to do, and also if you're going to do balloons on the back as well. Because this is the back of the card, you may decide just to leave it clear. But you'll see as I use the acetate why I decided to do the balloon on the back. You could decide that you're not going to do the stamping bit, you would just punch a plain white one for the back, which you could do quite easily. Right, so I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up, and the first thing that I need to do is to score my card base. So I'm going to use my scoreboard. You can use your trimmer, whichever you prefer, and I am going to score at 2 3/4 inches, which is 6.95 centimeters, so it's 2 3/4, and then I am going to score at 5.5 inches, which is 13.9 centimeters, and that's all we need to do. And then we're going to fold and burnish on both of these folds. So fold that one inwards, get a nice crease, and then fold that one in to get a nice crease. Okay, so that forms the base of your card. So I'm going to adhere my pieces on here first. I'm going to be using Tombow. You can use your preferred glue, which would be Fast Fuse or Tear and Tape. Let's turn it that way, I find it easier to get my paper lined up. Yes, that's good. And then I'm going to put this one on top. This is a specialty designer series paper. It's a lot thicker than our normal DSP. It's like card really. And I have to confess, this was one that I wasn't going to buy at first, but we used it in team training one day, and I just fell totally in love with it. I mean, these kind of splodgy things really are not normally me. Right, now the next one I'm going to do is this one. Okay, so as your card is going like that, it's going to be this front piece. So I have a piece of Whisper White and some designer series paper to go on there. There we go, that's that. I really can't imagine that there's a right way or wrong way of what I call the splodgy design. You may have noticed I'm keeping the hearts up the right way just in case. Okay, so that's that one. Let's do this one. This is the stopper that's going to go across there. So it's going to be the pink going onto the white. And then it's going to be this, but we're going to have the heart design this time. going to have a bit of glue showing there, so I'm going to take off what I can now with my tweezers, and then at the end, once it's all dried, if I need to, I'll come back with my eraser. So that will be going on there. I'm not going to pop it on there yet, but at least that bit's done. Can I do this now? Yes, I can, can't I? So let's put this piece together. White at the bottom, isn't it? Yes. All the concentration that's going into this. And again, I'm going to have the heart design showing on here. Okay, so that's that. Now that's going to be stamping before I can go on to there. And that's going to be stamping and die cutting. And that is going to be doing the balloons. Right, let's pop this out of the way. So first of all, I'm going to do the stamping. Big Shot I'm going to leave till as late as possible. Right, so this one is for the sentiment, and then that needs to be die cut. So the sentiment I'm using is from the Better Together stamp set, which is a 2-box set. I have to say I use this so much because it's got all sorts of occasions, including Christmas and sympathy, new baby, everything. And the one I'm using is this one here. And what colour did I decide? I'm going to stamp this bit in Rich Razzleberry. And just to remind you, this one, although I've used Pool Party as my main colour here, the stamping here and here, I've actually used Tranquil Tide, because Tranquil Tide is in that Designer Series paper there. So I've applied the same to Rich Razzleberry because it's in here, those ones there. It's in here a bit as well. So that's why I've decided to use Rich Razzleberry for my stamping. I'm just going to pop this right in the centre because this is going to be die cut. There we go, beautiful. So that's that. Oh, I've forgotten about this, haven't I? I was going to say I have already prepared this ahead of time, but previously I used Melon Mambo, so that's not going to be any good, so I've got to get it right this time. Oh, no pressure then. So, oh crikey, fingers crossed on this. In fact, I'm going to do it on here because I need these lines. How far down can I come? You can see that, can't you? Make sure that's really nice and straight. Oh, I thought I'd really taken the easy option here to prepare this bit beforehand. Right, which is the right way up. I hope your day. Okay, right, I will try not to get my head in shot here, but forgive me if I do. Where's the ends? not brilliant, but it's straight. I will use it. Right, what's this one? Wonderful. Right, so let's get this one straight again. I'm disappointed that's not better than it really is. I can't remember which way this was now, excuse me. Yes, keep it straight. That's it. Right, okay. It would be nice if this is as low as that one. That's not too bad. It isn't as low, but I can live with that. Right, so with this one then we can adhere it onto here. Tombow. And tweezers. And what I do on here, I just put this one towards the end here. And then this one at the other end. As you know, I very, very, very rarely ever use any retired products. But on the other card, in between the two sentiments, I have put a little heart. Let me show you. This one here. And I've used our Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper, but it was an old punch that I punched the heart with. As I say, I don't normally do that, but I do feel that probably everybody does have a heart of some sort that they can use. So I'm going to pop my little heart on there. If you think that this is a really big no-no, I really shouldn't be doing it, please let me know. I mean, if it winds you up that I do this, I would like to know, because I won't do it again. There we go. You just finished that off, I thought. Okay, so that's that one. That's got to be die cut, so pop that one there. And then we've got the balloons to do. So let's do the die cutting and then we can concentrate on those. Because the balloons, it is a punch that we have. Right. As always, I'm using my same two regular dies. Oh, come on. Right, okay, so I'm using the stitched shaped framelits, the oval one, and I'm using number 3. And I'm also using the scalloped one from the layering ovals, and I'm using number 5. If you're new to my videos, I start counting my dies from the lowest one. Of course it's from the lowest one. From the smallest one, that's that one, so that's number 1, that's number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I do that on every set of my dies. So if you're ever watching any of my videos, you know the lower the number, the smaller the die, the lower the number. So that is that one. In fact, let's move that up a bit so that I can make sure I get this bit straight. I'll just tilt that up a bit. There we go, nice and easy. So there we go, there's the stitched edging that you get with the stitched shape framelits. And the scallop layer for it. So that's it for the big shot. Right, now let me, we'll put these together and then I'll show you what I've learnt about using the balloon stamps. Oh, here it is. So I'm just going to adhere this. There we go. Alright, so that can go there. This is all we need now. This is for our balloons. Right, I have done 2 balloons ahead of time. I'm only going to put 3 onto my card. I think this possibly looks a little bit crowded. It would be great for somebody who's a 5-year-old who's, or at least somebody who's celebrating their 5th birthday. But I think if it had less balloons, I think it'd be more suitable. It would be just as suitable, rather, for adults too. So let's have a look. Now, the stamp set I'm going to be using. Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you about the sentiments I used there, and I took those from Pretty Kitty. Hope your birthday is just like you, wonderful in every way. Okay, so that one. And the stamp set I'm going to be using now is called Balloon Celebration. I'm going to be using the smaller balloon. I'm going to be using the solid balloon and also the inside of the balloon. So that's going to be 3-step stamping. Right, let's move that one out of the way. First of all, this is the hollow stamp and I'm using basic black archival ink. Quite straightforward. I am going to do an extra one just in case I mess up. That's that. Now for the solid stamp, I am going to stamp off. Okay, so that's this one, and I am going to be using powder pink. This is another of the colours that's in the designer series paper. So now how close can I get this? Again, I don't want to put my head in the camera. So ink up the stamp, stamp it off and then line it up. There we go. Okay, it does come up very, very pale, but that's fine by the time I've got the next one stamped on it. There we go. whatever colours you decide to use, I do recommend that you stamp them out first on scrap paper to decide exactly how you like the colours to go. For example, on my card here, the colours that I've used here are Soft Sky, stamped off once for the background, and the darker colour is Pool Party. And on this one that I'm doing, this is Powder Pink, and now I'm going to use Melon Mambo. Now I can't remember whether I stamped off or not on this, so I'm going to try it. I'm not going to try lining up, I'm not going to worry too much about that. That's about right, I think, isn't it? What does stamped off look like? Both look about the same, don't they? No, I'm sure I did it first generation. Right, now what I found with this one, this did give me a hard time. I found that if I put even pressure all around, what was happening was, if I've got one here to show you, I'm sure I put one aside so I could show you what happened. Oh yes, here we go. If you press too hard, you get that bit there coming off the top of your stamp. As you can see, you get ink all the way around the top there, and it is very, very easy to get that actually onto your balloon. So what I found, the way I can avoid this most of the time, not always as you can see, is when I ink this up and I line it up down here, I only put pressure on this bit here. I don't put any pressure on that top bit. Okay, so let's see what happens. Still in shot there. Right, okay. So line it up. Now I'm just putting the pressure on this bottom half. I am not putting any pressure on that top half. I do have my finger here because I don't want to push so much on here that this comes upwards. There we go. Now it hasn't stamped brilliantly there, but that's okay, I'm fine with that. I can show you on here. That one didn't stamp particularly well, and neither did that one. But that's fine, I was happy with that. I don't know whether you noticed it when I first showed you the card, but I don't think it's particularly noticeable. I hope you didn't see it. Right, line this one up. Right. There we go. Moral of the story is to use my thumb to press it down rather than just my index finger. So there we go. Let me bring that up close to you so that you can see. You can see where I mean that it didn't stamp 100% there. Also, I haven't lined it up brilliantly here, but that's okay. What I'll do is that one will be the back of the balloon and that one will be at the front of the card. But that's alright. I'm happy with that. Right, so that can go. That can go. And now I need the punch. I forgot to have a look to see what the name of this punch is, but it's a double balloon. We're using the small one. They do have the same stamps as this for the larger size as well. So what you need to do is scissors. So pop that in sideways, line it up, okay, and then punch, and then line up the next one, which wasn't very clever because I haven't left myself enough paper to do this. I wonder if I can reach that a little bit, possibly. Right, okay, if you ever do that, which is a bit silly, but you can add on like a handle. Let me just reach some snail and I'll show you what I mean by that. Just bring my chair back over again. So let's use this piece that I cut off, just put some snail on it and then pop it there, and then I can put this in. I'm not worried about the bit that's coming through the other, you can see through the other balloon. Right, there we go, that's lined up. I was going to say it's a bit stiffer because it's going through 2 thicknesses of cardstock, but it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I thought it had gone off there. Right, okay. Oh, it was that one. I knew it had to be somewhere. So I'm just going to take that off. Don't need that. Now, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to adhere this to my piece of acetate. And what I'm going to do with this is, I'm not far enough forward, hold on. I don't know why I make comments like that, hold on. I mean, what are you doing, holding on to your seats? It's like one of the other things I'm always saying is, let me do this. And it's like, you can't stop me from doing whatever it is. I mean, it's a bit silly saying it. But there we go. We're all the same. I hear other people doing it too. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of Tombow here onto my balloon. In fact, this bit I like to do this on my grid paper because I want to make sure that my balloon is straight. I line it up onto any line. Obviously the darkest line is the easiest one to do, and I make sure that the knot is right in the centre there. So once I've done that, I can put my acetate on top, and then I can make sure it's straight down here. If it isn't straight, you're going to find your balloon isn't going to be sitting straight on your card. And this piece of acetate I have is ridiculously long, but it was a scrap that I had in my folder. So the next piece I'm going to do is, to get the other balloon on, I'm going to put glue all around the back of this one, and I'm going to put some on the acetate there. Now when you line this up, you need to make sure that the knot on the balloon, that bit at the bottom, lines up with the knot on the balloon that side. There we go. If you find it is a little bit out, which I can see it is when I pick it up, I can't when I'm just sitting where I am. Don't get that good a view, but there we go. Move that around a little bit. I keep it in between my fingers like this to make sure that that's all still lining up again. Alright, So that's not very straight, is it? With Tombow you do have a bit of time to straighten that up if you need to. That's alright, I'm happy with that. Okay, now let's start assembling our card, and I also need to do a bow on that as well. So let's do the bow first so that that can be drying. I say a bow. Another thing I don't like too much about having the 5 balloons on here, you can't really see the string that I've got on the balloon there. I mean, you can see the bow, but you can't see the string. Okay, so that's another reason for just doing the 3 balloons. Now what I do with this is I do a bunny ears bow, which is to get one loop there, one loop there, put the top one over, and then bend it down and make it come up through the loop. And then just keep pulling the loops until it all tightens up nicely. I have been extremely lucky. This is my last piece of linen thread, and that's all I've got left. I have a delivery coming on Tuesday. I'm really excited about this delivery because it's going to have my Stamparatus in it. Now I won't be making videos using that until it is available to everybody, unless of course I do an instructional one, but I still leave it closer to when it's available in the main catalogue. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off that piece there, and that is going to be the string of my balloon. I'm going to use that bit there. So cut that one off as well. So I will put a little tiny bit of Tombow on the knot of the balloon, like that. Pop that on top. Okay. Again, making sure that it's as straight as it can be. Another little bit, a little dab of Tombow. That's it. And then pop this on top. There we go. Now I'm going to push that up there so it can be allowed to dry while I'm assembling as much of this as I can. So first of all I'm going to put this layer on, which is going to be this one. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get it a bit more central than last time. As you can see, I've got a wider gap one side to the other side. Hopefully when the card is received and opened up, people aren't going to notice that bit. They'll be looking more at the balloons up there. So I'm going to use Tombow, but first of all, obviously we don't want to have glue all over there. So what I'm going to do is I leave about 1/4 of an inch down here. The lower down this is, the more room you've got for your balloons up there. I mean, you don't have that much room, but it will give you that bit extra. In fact, you can't see the top there, but you can see the bottom. Yeah, that's right. So let me pop this in the centre. So that's 1, 2, 3 1/4. 2 1/4, so it's 3/4, isn't it? 1 short of the 5. That's right. Okay, so I can keep that there. So I know that's in the centre. So now this one in the centre 8 is the middle. So if I do 1/2 on the 9, no, come back, look, that's better. So that's 1 3/4, 1 3/4. So if I do it there, then I know that I'm in the centre. Chances are you'll be able to just eyeball it. But if you're like me and you struggle with your straight lines. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little pencil mark there and there. And then when I adhere this on, the glue is going to be slightly over that, so the pencil marks will disappear down here. Again, you can use fast fuse if you like. I don't know whether you've heard, but when the new catalogue comes out on the 1st of June, we won't be stocking fast fuse anymore. At the moment it's a question of while stocks last. So if it's your best friend, you may want to stock up. Right, okay. Let's put that lid back on. Okay, so it's easiest to do it that way. Okay, so I can see where the glue comes to, and I can position this again in the centre. That one, and that's centred. It was 1 3/4, 1 3/4, and that was 10 3/4 and 5 3/4. Come down to where the glue is. And that's it. Just make sure that that is straight. I think that's okay. We hope. But you can't see my pencil marks on the back there, and you can't see the top of the glue. Okay, so that's good. Now this piece I'm going to pop on with dimensionals. And I'm going to use the normal size. And I'm going to be using 8. I don't want this dipping in the middle. That one's a little bit off, that one there. Right, so I'm leaving about an inch there. Again, let me make sure I get this straight. So it's just a tad over that line. Yep, that looks about right. Don't think so. I think that's better. Okay, so cardboard's going to be standing up like that. Alright. Now let's pop this on here. Yep, I use dimensionals. In fact, I think I put the balloons on first, didn't I? Okay, let's do this piece then. Did I use, yep, I used more dimensionals for this. So this one, I think, just a single line of the standard size is enough. Crikey, you hear that plane? Very rarely we can hear that. In fact, it sounds like a helicopter. Definitely sounds like a helicopter. Right, okay. I'm going to pop this on in the centre. There we go. I think that's all right. And so it's just this and the balloons. Right, these are the two that I did earlier. This is the one that I've done with you. Now what I'm thinking is to do, that one goes in the middle because it's got the longer acetate on it, and then to do them like that, and then have this over the top. So that's what I'm going to do. What you need to watch, the only thing you really need to watch, is that as you're putting your balloons down, they don't come over the top here, okay, because this is how your card will be closing. So I can see that this is far too long, so I'm going to cut it off about there. I'm going to adhere these to my card, and then I'm going to put my sentiment on top of it. Okay, so that one could go there, and you could put your balloons so that they go sideways like that if you like. You could have them coming down onto your card. There's so many options that you can do with this. Okay, it really is your choice. Just as long as that doesn't go over the top. Unless you make a larger envelope for it, of course. I'm going to keep mine straight. That one in fact, let me do this first one. Let's pop that one on. And then it'll be a lot easier to work the others around. I'm only going to put glue on the little bit down there. It doesn't need all of it because it's going to have the sentiment over the top. Again, let's work out the centre here. So I'm as high as the top as I can go. Worked out the centre of my card. And that is that. And then this one, when this goes on, where is this going to be? So I need to cut off about that much. Okay, so what's that, about ½ an inch? And I will do the same on the other one. So make sure they're about the same length. The reason you don't want your glue to come up too high is because it might be visible above your sentiment. Now this one is obviously going down by the curve on the sentiment, so I don't want that to be visible. Okay, so that's that one there. Just a little bit of Tombow there. It doesn't have to be the same length, does it? Same height. In fact, yeah, I'm going to bring that one a bit lower. So I've got 3 different heights there. Okay, so just give that a few minutes to dry. Get some more dimensionals. I think 4 will be enough for this one. Come on, don't fight me. There we go. Right, I'll just hold this up so that I can get this how I want it. There we go. I don't adhere these strings down, they're just sitting there behind. If they pop out, it doesn't really matter. So there we go, that's today's project. I hope you like it. The balloons are a little bit of a challenge, but you could decide just to punch the balloons out and not do any stamping on them. The backs, you could use just plain white ones on the back. If you did plain balloons on the front, I'd still recommend that you did something on the back just to cover up where the glue has gone on to the acetate. It just covers that up nicely. So there we go. That's that one, and this is my earlier one. So I wonder if I can just prop those up for you. Ooh. Right, there we go, there's that one. And maybe a couple of ink pads to get this one up. There we go, that's lovely. Many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions or any comments to make, please leave them in the box below the video. I'm always happy to hear what you have to say, and I'm happy to help you too. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here, apart from the punch that did the hearts, and don't forget I would like to hear your comments about that, whether you'd rather I didn't use retired products. Apart from that, everything else is available in our shop, and there'll be a link to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below. Also in the box below I will list all the products that I've used, all the measurements, and the score marks for the card as well. If you've enjoyed my video and would like to be notified each time I upload a new video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And finally, you probably be well aware that we are going through celebration at the moment, which is the best time of the year. It ends on 31st of March, but what we offer is a free gift for every order that is £45. We do this year have some £90 gifts as well, and that is for every £45 or every £90. But equally, there's a special offer for people who would like to join as a demonstrator, whether it's as a hobbyist, just to enjoy the discount that you would get on your products, or to actually be a business builder like myself. You're very, very welcome to join. I would love you to join my team. Please email me at jambi@jambicards, and I'll be delighted to give you more information about that. The bonus is that on top of your starter kit, where you choose £130 worth of products, you can also choose an extra 2 stamp sets as well, which is a really good offer. So if you'd like to take advantage of this, please email me and I will give you all the info. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.